Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, we'll talk a little basketball for a change. Actually, it ain't a change. You guys know what I do. But I'm thinking about the Los Angeles Clippers, and the reason why is because I think they've turned a corner a little bit. When you consider that James Harden just came off a fantastic basketball game where he helped beat the Sacramento Kings, a very solid basketball team, better than solid, even a playoff contender. Just wore them out pretty handedly. And he's starting to find his rhythm and his confidence, scoring the ball. They're getting used to what it is that he does ultimately to more or less change things from a point guard perspective. Then you start seeing his offense open up offense for other people. And that's a dangerous thing for their opponents. I think the Clippers need to invest in more defensive talent, though. Now that they've gotten rid of Batum, now that they've gotten rid of Covington, moved on from a couple guys, they're a little too offensive right now. And they're relying upon offensive talent to play defensive ball. And the only two guys that really do that on this team are Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, two guys they cannot afford to have go down if they want to win anything. But I do believe that they've turned a corner, and that's a hell of a corner to turn when you consider the type of high-level talent that they got. I know a lot of people are down on the Clippers. Obviously, I have no love for them as a Laker fan. I have no interest in even seeing them succeed in any way. But I'm not as confused to say, once they figure that out, they're going to be nearly impossible to stop. Because that's how much high-level offensive talent is on the floor. From possession to possession to possession to possession, they can essentially score. And that is a problem for everybody. You can't not double team just about everybody they got on that floor at any given moment. And when you talk about a guy like Bones Highland coming off the bench, and they still got Norman Powell coming off the bench, either one of those guys can score every possession themselves. They're lethal offensive talent too. So for me, watching the Clippers, it's just about how can they find a way to make all of it come together and get stops. Because it ain't going to be an issue once they learn one another's game to score a lot. That's not going to be a problem. And they could go all in on the scoring, but they're not going to be no better than a team like Utah or no better than a team like Sacramento. That's kind of their ceiling if they go all in on scoring. They got to defend. And so that's my concern with the LA Clippers. Once they get their cohesiveness together with their offense, can they find ways of getting stops? I tell you the truth, man. I like Zubac, but I'm probably moving on from him, man. If I can turn him into a different center and maybe some other defensive key players in different roles, maybe a defensive shooting guard, a defensive power forward. If I can do that, I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to turn him into a couple people because he does have that type of value. He doesn't necessarily fit on this team. And although he does have the big body to guard some of these bigger guys like Jokic and Embiid, at the end of the day, he doesn't have the talent to guard these people. So you're going to find yourself getting ate up by them any damn way. He has value. That's the thing. A team like the Nets could probably use a Zubac. A team like, I don't know, I can't think of too many teams. Maybe if Zubac is a backup center somewhere, he can be on a good team elsewhere, probably get more out of his piece, rather than on the Clippers where they need so many different people to get the ball at various given moments. You know, you got too many offensive guys to really take advantage of his offensive talent. So essentially you need him to be a rebounder and defender. And while he can defend some, not well enough to where if you utilize him as a defensive player only, you're really getting all the stuff you need from him. And if you're giving him the ball as much as he needs it, you're taking possessions away from higher level offensive talent like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So it just doesn't make as much sense anymore. I can package him and Russell Westbrook, of whom you've rendered to be somebody else who can still be used by a team to be better than what you got him being, and turn him into pieces that more so make what you have come together more so. Now, granted, Westbrook I'd be less likely to want to move for reasons that only Westbrook can bring to the table. High pressure put on the rim. The ability to guard big players with a small body, because that's what Russell can do. The ability to stay healthy throughout the course of an 82-game schedule. These are things that make you want to keep Russell Westbrook, given the fact that they do have so many guys on that team that have so much wear and tear on their body as stars. How many games do you expect Kawhi and Paul George and James Harden to play? And if you bring them a less likely healthy backup or a less likely star level backup, can you maintain the play of the team? I don't know that the answer is yes. So maybe I'm not as likely to move him, but I do think if I couple him and Zubac together, I can get something nice. I can get something real nice. And I can put Westbrook in a situation to better utilize himself rather than have him deteriorate on my team with the ability to do the things that he can do. I do think that they probably best to consider that. Maybe around the trade deadline, depending on where they're at. Especially if this team continues to show signs of being able to be cohesive with those stars in that starting lineup. You move Westbrook out of the situation and you're going to find yourself without somebody who can stay as healthy, but likely somebody that you're going to use more anyway, if you put him in the right spot. So that's the thing, man. I just don't think the Clippers are going to be as bad as they look right now for much longer. I don't. They made that trade early enough in the season to where they got another 60-plus games to learn one another. That is a lot of games for a bunch of Hall of Famers whose games do naturally mesh together. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden. Their games do naturally mesh. I don't know that Russell Westbrook's meshes with them as much. Not with James on the floor playing point. So maybe I can find that piece. I don't know what that piece would be. Likely somebody who doesn't need a lot of shots but can shoot the three, in my opinion, and play a hell of a lot of defense. That's who I think could probably fit in that situation. Who that player is in my mind, I can't think of. I don't know right now. But that's what comes to mind. Maybe somebody could slip in at the 2, who could shoot the 3, but not need too much. A KCP type or something like that. That would be a great piece to throw in there. That's what comes to mind. KCP and Lou Dort, somebody like that. Although Lou Dort can shoot a lot. I don't know about that. But they could use a player like that, you know? And then from there, you find yourself in a situation where you're looking at their team and you say, okay, the depth is in place, but are we getting the most out of who we need? Also, who we have, rather. Kobe Brown, rookie. I don't want to ask him to do too much too soon. I really don't. But I know he's capable of doing a lot of good things for me. You have him rebounding the basketball. You have him taking advantage of his passing ability. He can be a quasi poor man's Draymond Green early for that team. Definitely a piece needs to be utilized. I don't know that I don't find him, depending on how well he plays throughout the course of the season, into that starting lineup instead of Zubac. I might do that. Speaking of the type of player that might go well with the Clippers, if Draymond Green doesn't work out there in Golden State, I don't think the Clippers are the worst place for him to go now that I'm just brainstorming. Because he does find himself being that enforcer that can defend big players. Obviously a mind that can definitely go against certain teams and help you facilitate on and defend, and, you know, both sides of the floor. He can help you. He ain't taking shots away from nobody. He's already won a lot, so he can help bring all those guys together, hold them all accountable, etc. I think that would be a great spot for him. Now, from a Caps perspective, I don't know that you can really get the most out of him based on the cap perspective. I don't know that. Because he has a hell of a contract he just signed, so that might not be the best move for the Clippers. But when you consider what pieces likely fit on the Clippers in my mind, I don't think that's the worst place for Draymond Green, and I honestly don't think it's the worst place for Klay Thompson. I don't think that's the worst place for Klay Thompson when you consider Klay at his best is going to hit shots. Granted, he ain't been at his best in a long time, shooting under 35% from the 3, but I don't think that's going to continue. He's a natural-born three-point shooter, one of the best three-point shooters that ever played the game. Hall of Famer with a bunch of rings. I just don't think that as he continues to go forward without injuries, that he doesn't find himself in a position to be able to help his team more so later than he does right now. Now, will he ever become that lockdown defender that he used to be? I don't think so, and that's the problem. If I can still rely upon him to be that defender, he's definitely the piece I want for the Clippers. But at this point, especially with him going after another contract, I think it's a little difficult to see him slipping in at that high rate that he's going to be. But for the rest of the season, as an expiring contract, I don't know if the Clippers wouldn't benefit from trying to swing a deal like that. Now, I don't know how the numbers match. They probably don't. But I'm just looking at it from a strictly pieces perspective. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson in place of Zubac and Russell Westbrook would be a fantastic upgrade for the Clippers, in my opinion. Now, granted, that kind of go without saying. Looking at the two players, for the two players, of course. But I'm talking about more so for fit. That's kind of what you're looking for. And you create all the space in the world for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George by bringing in yet another elite shooter. And you create all the facilitating necessary to make it so that you can have another piece down there not taking away shots and playing defense, but also making plays for all them offensive players. It's a great piece to have in Draymond. So I don't know, if I'm trying to put together the Clippers going forward, I am kind of looking to make a trade like that. I am looking at what I can do from a perspective of maybe bringing in more win now veteran talents that has championships, and try to put them in a position to just continue to be on the timeline that they're on, since they don't want to go young. They may be a little too old when you do something like that, but considering that both of those guys may be on the block, if I'm the Clippers, I'm making phone calls to see if I can get one or two of those guys with what it is that I got without giving up one of those big three. So I don't, like I said, from a numbers standpoint, you could probably throw this away. But if you can swindle it with a third team, maybe you can get somebody to take something else, throw in something else, a lot of things are possible. But, the Clippers do not want to blow it up. So that's the only reason why I would bring them older guys. It's the only reason. And I do think there's an argument for making them entirely too old if you do that. But it's about a 1 year timeline for me in this situation. So, that's what and it gives them a big team. The Clippers are a big team, but you add those two to the team and you're a bit bigger, in my opinion. Russell Westbrook's a little shorter. Zubac is tall, but he's not very strong in my mind. So if I'm the Warriors, I don't necessarily want Zubac and Westbrook. Don't get it twisted. Those are not pieces I want. But you can send them somewhere else. Like I said, you get a third team, fourth team, fifth team. You can do all kinds of stuff to try to make that make sense for the Warriors. I don't care about what makes sense for the Warriors more so than I care about just sending something out and bringing me something I want if I'm the Clippers. That's all I'm really thinking about. I'll get creative to make it happen. But, it is what it is. It's one of those situations where I don't know that they have enough to really win a championship right now. But that doesn't mean they can't move things around to get to a point where they are good enough to win a championship. Another piece I would like to see on this team is probably one they let go of. One of them two New York centers. Obviously, we're talking about the center they had last year that they let sign with the New York Knicks, Hartenstein. He would be a nice piece for this team. They let him go, but he would be great for them. And then another piece, of course, would be Robinson. Mitchell Robinson, the center, shot blocking extraordinaire, kind of injury prone, though, but I think he would be a nice center to throw into that Clipper situation. That's the type of piece they need, man. Instead of Zubac, who really ain't exactly what they need. Zubac can give me more offensively. That's the thing. I think Zubac is a much better offensive player than people think he is. But the problem is, I just don't need him to do that for the Clippers. I don't need that. What I do also want to do is open up more of an opportunity for Bones Highland, because he was having a breakout before they made the trade. So if I can move some guards around to get Bones back into the regular rotation, if he continues to play the way he's been playing, his upside is great. As a microwave scorer and somebody who can really stretch the floor as he continues to light it up, he's going to get better and better. So that's the type of thing I'm thinking about if I'm the Clippers. How can I retool this basketball team so that we are in much more of a position to get the most out of guys on our team? Do I really need both Bones Highland and what's my guy off the bench that I just mentioned, Norm Powell, at the same time? Do I really need those two pieces, or are they a bit redundant in this rotation? They're a bit redundant in this rotation. Maybe I can move Norm Powell to a team that can use him and get myself back to pieces that I can more so use for the guys that I had. These are the type of things that the Clippers need to be thinking about right now. Because at the end of the day, you can have pieces and they can be valuable, but if you're not getting the most out of them, that value decreases. And some of these guys, they just, Norm Powell's getting a bit older, still valuable, but how much of what he does do I need versus me trading him for what he's worth and getting back something I do? It just makes sense to me. Maybe I can move Westbrook and bring back that center that I need. Keep Zubac and then bring him off the bench for double the power, just in case one of those centers getting foul trouble. But you really don't have that backup center. If my mind's eye is telling me the truth, the Clippers are asking other players to play center than what would otherwise be necessary for themselves. Going up against a Jokic, going up against an AD, going up against some of the guys that they're ultimately going to be seeing in the playoffs, going up against those guys in Minnesota, double centers. They're just going to need more size. Zubats is not the answer there. And so these are things I think they need to be thinking about from a GM's perspective. You don't need to stand pat. Your team ain't good enough. But you do have a tandem of players that are looking to win a championship right now who likely, if you put the right complementary pieces around him, should be able to get it done. Especially as they start to mesh. I don't know that this is a one-year thing, too. Why wouldn't James Harden be good enough to play next year? Why wouldn't Kawhi Leonard be good enough to play next year? Paul George? You should be able to bring those guys back. So maybe what you're bringing back can be something that you see being good complementary pieces to them next season as well. So, like I said, far be it for me to care anything about the Clippers. I hope they don't pull this off. I'm a Laker fan. I don't care about that. But from a GM's perspective, if somebody gave me the Clipper job, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do, and I know what I think can make us better. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching.